Welcome back to NB Media and Content. Today I'll be featuring the Ford Everest. Now this is a ute-based off-road vehicle that can seat 7 passengers, and it's the type of vehicle you should consider if you're looking at things like the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport, the Toyota Fortuner, and the Isuzu MU-X. And in this video I'll be telling you everything you need to know about it. I'm going to run you through its different model grades, talk to you about the exterior design, interior features, and then I am going to drive it. Before we start, let me give you a brief overview about the Everest. Depending on what model grade you choose, there's a choice between a 2-litre bi-turbo and a 3-litre V6 turbo diesel, as well as full-time four-wheel drive and two-wheel drive form. And lastly, I would like to thank Harrigan Ford Moss Vale for allowing me to film their Ford Everest demonstrator. They are located in the Southern Highlands. I have linked their details in the description below, but for now, let's continue on with the tour. Okay, moving on to the exterior. So first impressions, I really like how this car looks. As you can see, the Everest features the same design as the Ford Ranger, so that means Everest receives the C-clamp headlight design like the F-150 pickup trucks in America, and they are matrix LED lights, and they also have the daytime running light strip engraved into the headlight casing. Some key features for off-roading: steel underbody projection, as well as dual recovery points. Ground clearance is 226mm, as well as 800mm of water weighting capability, and these gloss black 20-inch alloy wheels, which you can actually option for 18 inches with all-terrain tyres if you do a lot of off-roading, but they look really nice in my opinion. And there are some additional features which include roof rails and plastic side steps, as well as a V6 badge letting everyone know that you've got the V6 model instead of the 4-cylinder. And moving towards the rear of the Everest, as you can see, it features LED rear tail lights, as well as a full-size spare tyre underneath the car. And this example is fitted with the towing package. So what that includes is an integrated brake controller, it's blind spot monitoring, the trailer coverage, and the Everest has a brake towing capacity of 3.5 tons. And moving on to colours, there are 7 to pick. White is a no-cost option, and the other 6 are an additional $700 option. And this example is finished in Blue Lightning. Okay, moving on inside the interior. So as you would expect, it shares the same design layout as the Ford Ranger. The only thing I have noticed with the Everest, you get this wood trim along the dashboard and on the doors, but everything is the same. So you get this portrait style screen, leather wrapped steering wheel, the unique gear selector, and the unique door handles, and everything is soft to the touch. So if I touch up here, it all feels very nice. Gets a little bit durable down here, but this is an off-road vehicle, so comparing it with other rivals like the Toyota Fortuner, this is the class-leading interior in this segment. The sport grade features these unique leather accented upholstery seats with 10-way adjustment for the driver's seat with memory, as well as heated and ventilated front seats and a 10-speaker sound system. Moving on to the technology, so I'm going to run you through this 12.4-inch digital display. It is a touchscreen, the portrait style. You do have physical buttons for the climate control, volume, and the fan speed. It uses Ford Sync 4, so that means it receives over-the-air updates. And if I just demonstrate the inbuilt navigation, as you can see, the graphics are crystal clear, it's easy to move around, and this is your home layout. So let me run you through its features. You have FM, AM, and digital radio, as well as voice command, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which are both wireless, and a whole raft of safety equipment, which includes autonomous emergency braking, lane keeping assist, driver attention alert, and a reversing camera. So I'll just demonstrate that for you now. As you can see, it has parking guidelines, front and rear parking sensors, and overall the graphics are pretty clear. You could also get a surround view camera in the touring package, and that will also include zone lighting, which will project lights on each side of the vehicle, as well as features from the towing pack, which I mentioned earlier before. It also features a dedicated off-road screen, so pressing this button, it provides information such as off-road status, pitch and roll, and you can also activate the hill descent control and lock the rear differential. Down here you can also change it from 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive low range, and 4-wheel drive automatic. Right ahead of me is an 8-inch digital display lifted from the standard Ranger, so the graphics look very sharp and clear. It's also very configurable, as you can swipe through different menus looking at fuel consumption, media functions, various menus available. And using the rotary dial just down here, you can change your drive modes from mud, sand, off-road, gravel, various drive modes to choose from. Lastly, moving on to practicality, the doors themselves fit a litre of water on those side bins, and if we move towards the centre, decent amount of storage, revealing a 12-volt socket and this little coin tray. And towards the gear selector, 2 small cup holders and little phone holder there, as well as a wireless phone charging pad with a USB-C and a USB-A port. And either side of the dashboard, 2 small cup holders, as well as a storage bin there and a decent sized glove box and a sunglasses holder. Okay, moving on to the back seat. So as you can see, I've got plenty of headroom, knee room and toe room. You can also recline the seats back and forward manually, as well as slide them forward and back. So plenty of adjustment. In terms of other features, it has a USB-C and a USB-A port, as well as a fan control for the top air vents right above me, and 2 mat pockets behind the seats, and a fold down armrest with 2 small cup holders and large door bins on the rear doors. And lastly, for baby seats, these 2 outboard seats are ISOFIX compatible, and right behind me, 3 top tether points. Okay, moving on to the back seats. So normally in SUVs, third row seating are only suitable for children, but I've just put this seat forward and that gives me good knee room. Toe room's okay, and I've got really good headroom. Other features I see include air conditioning vents, 2 cup holders on either side with some additional storage on the left side and a 12-volt socket. However, it is worth mentioning these 2 outboard seats in the third row are not ISOFIX compatible. However, behind me, if you lift down this cover, it reveals 2 top tether points. Okay, moving on to boot space. So the sports grade comes standard with a power operated tailgate, and that reveals 259 litres of boot capacity with the third row in place, so a reasonable size. And if I have a look around, there's some underfloor storage, tie-down hooks, as well as a 12-volt socket. And if I want more space, I can fold down the third row very easily, just like that, using those levers, and that will give me 898 litres of boot capacity. So again, pretty spacious. And to fold down the second row for even more space, I just have to go to the rear doors and use the lever from there. And as you can see, there's plenty of space with all seats folded. So overall, the Everest is a pretty practical SUV. Before we take it out for a drive, let me talk to you what's under the bonnet. So I've listed key information on the screen, but I'll run you through the basics. So the engine we're looking at is the 3-litre V6 diesel, and it's driven by a 10-speed automatic transmission and comes with permanent 4-wheel drive, producing 184 kilowatts and 600 newton meters of torque. So let's see how it drives. Okay, behind the wheel in the new Ford Everest, what is there to say? Well, as I mentioned in the intro, this is a ute-based vehicle, so it shares the same platform as the Ford Ranger, the latest generation, which is already a class-leading vehicle in the ute segment. So the Everest is off to a good start. Okay, first impressions behind the wheel in the new Everest. So as I mentioned in the intro, this is a ute-based vehicle based on the latest generation Ford Ranger, which is already a class-leading vehicle in the ute segment. So what have they done to make the Everest a little bit more refined? Because this is a vehicle you'll be picking up the kids from school, going on longer road trips, as it is set up to be a family vehicle. Well, the Everest sits on coil sprung suspension, so over the bumps it is a lot more forgiving over rough surfaces, as you can see with the video footage. And it's definitely a car you can take on long journeys. And when you do drive this around town, it is an easy car to maneuver. You've got large wing mirrors, good visibility all around you, and a decent rear window, plus that reversing camera. And the steering is nice and light on the freeway. This V6 is pretty torquey. Now in terms of fuel consumption, I'm averaging around 10 litres per 100, and the manufacturer's claim is 9 litres per 100. And in terms of the safety technology, all of it actually works just as well as what you would find in a prestige car like a BMW X5. So radar cruise control doesn't disengage, you get the latest tech. Of course, this was designed to be an off-road vehicle, so that means this sits on a ladder frame chassis. It has heavy-duty suspension components. If you compare the Everest with cars in this segment, like the Toyota Fortuner, for example, or the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport, this is the class-leading vehicle to pick, and that's why the Everest has received the award for Wheels Car of the Year. So as a wrap-up, if you are looking for the ultimate off-road vehicle that can seat you and 6 other passengers, in terms of comfort, technology, and the way it drives, this is the best car in the segment.